Right now, as you are watching this, a massive wall of Atlantic moisture is pushing across the entire United Kingdom. The Met Office has just issued a yellow weather warning covering every single region of this country. And here is the part that most people are getting wrong tonight. They think this is just another bit of drizzle. It is not. Some areas are about to get hit with heavy downpours, localized flooding, and in Scotland, actual snowfall. But there is one city tonight where conditions will be far worse than anywhere else, and I will reveal exactly which one at the 3-minute mark. So stay with me. Now, before we go any further, drop a comment right now telling me where you are watching from. Your city, your town, your village. I am going to be covering every major region of the United Kingdom in this forecast, and if you comment your location, I can give you a more specific breakdown in the replies. Do that now while I walk you through what is coming tonight, Friday the 6th of February 2026. Here is what I promise you in this video. By the 5-minute mark, you will know exactly when the worst of this weather hits your area, what time it peaks, and when it finally clears. No vague nonsense. Specific times for specific cities. That is the deal. Let us start with the big picture, because understanding this system is the key to knowing what happens at your front door tonight. A massive band of moist Atlantic air is currently sweeping eastward across Britain. This is why temperatures tonight are sitting at a surprisingly mild 7 degrees Celsius as a minimum. For February, that is unusually warm. But here is the twist. That mild air is carrying an enormous amount of moisture with it, and all that moisture has to go somewhere. It is going to fall as persistent rain across England and Wales, and as sleet and snow across Scotland. Think of it like a trade. You get warmth, but the price you pay is hours and hours of relentless rainfall. Now, timing. This is what everyone needs to know. In the south of England, the heaviest rain arrives between 6 and 9 this evening. It peaks around 7:30. By 11 tonight, it eases to light drizzle. In the Midlands and northern England, the rain intensifies later, peaking between 8 and 10:30 this evening, with the heaviest bursts around 9 o'clock. And in Scotland, this system does not fully arrive until around 7:30, but it lingers much longer, with snow and sleet continuing well past midnight into the early hours of Saturday. Write those times down. They matter. Let us get into the city-by-city breakdown now, and I am starting with London, because I know half of you watching are there right now. London tonight. Temperatures between 8 and 11 degrees Celsius. That 11-degree figure will show up early this evening before gradually dropping to 8 degrees by the late hours. You will get intermittent drizzle throughout the evening. Not torrential, not dramatic, just that persistent, quietly soaking kind of rain that catches you off guard. Visibility stays reasonable, so if you are driving or taking the tube, you will be fine. But here is the thing London drivers need to hear. Roads will be slippery. The rain sits on top of oil residue on the tarmac and creates a greasy film. Slow down. Increase your following distance. Do not be the person who rear ends someone on the A406 tonight. Now, moving north, and this is where things start to change. Manchester. Pay attention if you are in the northwest. Temperatures dropping to between 6 and 9 degrees Celsius, and the rain here is not drizzle. It is persistent, heavy rainfall with sudden downpours hitting between 8 and 10:30 this evening, peak intensity around 9 o'clock. If you have tickets to a match at Old Trafford or the Etihad tonight, you already know what I'm about to say. Bring waterproofs. Not just an umbrella, a proper waterproof jacket. You are going to need it. Visibility on the motorways around Manchester will drop during those heavy bursts. So if you are on the M60 or the M62, keep your headlights on and your speed down. Birmingham next. England's second city gets temperatures from 7 to 10 degrees Celsius with persistent drizzle all evening. Sounds manageable, right? Here is the detail most people miss. The high humidity tonight will make it feel significantly colder than 10 degrees. Your body loses heat faster in damp air. So even though the thermometer says it is mild, you will feel chilled if you are not dressed properly. And if you are around the Bullring or New Street, watch out. Those tall buildings create wind tunnels, and you can get sudden, strong gusts funneling between them. It catches people off guard every single time. Liverpool. This is a coastal city, and that changes everything tonight. Temperatures from 7 to 10 degrees Celsius, but the Atlantic winds coming off the Irish Sea will make it feel bitter, especially around the Albert Dock and the waterfront. Rain will be persistent with heavy showers hitting mid-evening around 8:30 to 9:30. And here is something residents near the coast need to know. Waves will be higher than normal tonight. The combination of strong winds and high tide means exposed seafront areas could see some spray coming over. Stay aware. Now remember, I said I would tell you the city facing the worst conditions tonight. We are almost at that 3-minute mark. But first, let me cover two more northern cities. Leeds. Temperatures from 6 to 9 degrees Celsius, drizzle and showers alternating all evening. But Leeds sits in hilly terrain, and here is the twist. Higher areas around western Leeds near the Pennines could see sleet mixing in with the rain towards late evening. If you live in those suburbs, you might wake up tomorrow to a very different scene than what the lowland forecasts suggest. Newcastle upon Tyne. Now we are getting into the genuinely cold zone. Temperatures only 4 to 7 degrees Celsius tonight. That is 2 to 3 degrees colder than London. The rain is actually lighter here than Manchester or Liverpool, but the wind, the North Sea wind blowing into Newcastle tonight will cut right through you. Along the River Tyne, the wind chill will make it feel closer to 1 or 2 degrees. If you are heading out in Newcastle tonight, layers. Multiple layers, hat, scarf, gloves. Do not underestimate that North Sea wind. But none of those cities are the answer. The city facing the worst conditions tonight is Aberdeen, and I will tell you exactly why in just a moment, but do not skip ahead because first I need to cover the cities in between, and the information could save you a genuinely difficult journey tonight. Let me swing back down to the west and the Midlands quickly. Bristol. Good news for you. Temperatures from 8 to 11 degrees Celsius. Mild. Drizzle is light and intermittent. If you are near the Clifton Suspension Bridge area, expect stronger winds because of the gorge and the hilly terrain. But overall, Bristol has one of the more comfortable evenings in the country tonight. Cardiff, capital of Wales, very similar to Bristol, 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. Persistent drizzle. Cardiff Bay will get stronger winds from the Bristol Channel, but nothing dangerous. A damp evening, not a dramatic one. Sheffield. Now this is different. Temperatures only 5 to 8 degrees Celsius, and Sheffield sits right at the foot of the Pennines. The western hills near the Peak District could see sleet or even actual snowfall in the late evening as temperatures drop. If you are driving over the Snake Pass or any of those high Pennine routes tonight, think very carefully about whether that journey is necessary. Nottingham. 6 to 9 degrees Celsius. Persistent rain getting heavier around mid-evening. The area around Sherwood Forest to the north will catch more rainfall due to the elevated wooded terrain. Now, the south coast. And this is the good news section for those of you down there. Southampton. 8 to 11 degrees Celsius. Light drizzle. Sea breezes a bit stronger around the port. If you are planning to take the ferry to the Isle of Wight tonight, check conditions first. The sea will be choppier than usual, but nothing that should cancel services. Brighton. Also 8 to 11 degrees Celsius. The Pebble Beach is not the place to be tonight, obviously, but the seafront restaurants and cafes are as cozy as ever. Light drizzle and that typical English Channel dampness. Oxford and Cambridge, 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. Persistent drizzle. Students cycling home from late library sessions, please put your lights on and wear something reflective. Wet roads and poor visibility are a bad combination for cyclists. Plymouth and Exeter in the southwest. Plymouth gets temperatures from 8 to 11 degrees, but facing the open Atlantic means winds here will be fierce. Heavy showers at times. Exeter, further inland, gets lighter winds, but the same persistent drizzle, 7 to 10 degrees. Do not skip this next part. This is the section I promised you at the 5-minute mark. Scotland. Tonight is a completely different story from the rest of the United Kingdom, and this is where it gets serious. Edinburgh. Temperatures dropping to just 2 to 5 degrees Celsius. That is half what London is experiencing tonight. Rain here will turn to sleet and snow, particularly on higher ground like Arthur S. Seat and Calton Hill. The North Sea wind will be brutal. If you are walking the Royal Mile or any of the old cobbled streets in the Old Town, be extremely careful. Those cobblestones become treacherously slippery when wet or icy. Wear proper footwear with good grip. Multiple layers of clothing, hat, scarf, gloves, absolutely essential. Glasgow. 2 to 6 degrees Celsius. Rain and sleet alternating throughout the evening. Glasgow and the west of Scotland always catch more rainfall due to the Atlantic influence, and tonight is no different. Suburban areas and the highlands around the city will very likely see actual snowfall settling on the ground. And now, Aberdeen, the city I told you about earlier. Here is why Aberdeen faces the worst conditions in the entire United Kingdom tonight. Temperatures from just 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. There is a high likelihood of snow, not sleet, actual snow settling on road surfaces, and the winds from the North Sea will be extremely strong, creating a wind chill that makes it feel well below freezing. Snow accumulation on roads will make driving genuinely hazardous. If you are in Aberdeen tonight, my honest advice is this: unless you absolutely have to go out, stay home. And if you must drive, make sure your vehicle has winter tires and drive at well below the speed limit. Inverness, and the Highlands. 0 to 3 degrees Celsius, possibly dropping below zero in the late hours. Heavy snowfall is certain in the mountains. Areas near Loch Ness and the high glens will see significant accumulation. This is classic Highland winter weather, beautiful but unforgiving. Before I move on, let me repeat the key Scottish timing for those of you just joining. Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, the worst hits between 7:30 and midnight. Snow and sleet start mixing in from around 8 o'clock. In the Highlands, snow begins earlier and lasts longer, continuing well into the early hours of Saturday morning. If you are in Scotland and you have not already prepared, do it now. Do not wait. Now, for the Premier League fans watching tonight, matches this evening will be played in genuinely difficult conditions. Pitches across England will be waterlogged and slippery. The ball skids differently on a soaked surface, bouncing lower and moving faster. Expect more defensive errors, more scrambled goals, and more players losing their footing at the worst possible moment. If you are heading to a ground tonight, layer up underneath your shirt. Standing or sitting in persistent rain for 90 minutes will drain your body heat faster than you think. And here is a practical tip that most people forget. If you are driving tonight, before you set off, check your windscreen washer fluid. Heavy rain throws up road spray mixed with dirt, and if your washers run dry on the motorway in the dark, your visibility drops to almost nothing in seconds. It is a tiny thing that makes an enormous difference. For those of you with older relatives living alone tonight, especially in the colder northern areas in Scotland, it is worth a quick phone call just to check they are warm enough and have everything they need. Older homes lose heat faster in damp conditions, and a simple check-in can make all the difference on a night like this. Now, a critical safety reminder for everyone across the country. The Met Office yellow warning is about persistent rainfall causing potential localized flooding. Low-lying areas are at risk. Drainage systems may struggle. On the roads, aquaplaning is a real danger tonight. That is when your tires lose contact with the road surface because of standing water. If your steering suddenly feels light, do not brake hard. Ease off the accelerator gently and keep the wheel straight until you feel grip return. Public transport should run normally tonight. Trains, buses, no major disruptions expected. Flights from Heathrow, Gatwick, Manchester, and Edinburgh are forecast to operate as scheduled, but always check your flight status before leaving for the airport. It takes 30 seconds and could save you hours of waiting. Here is the good news to end on. This weather system moves away tomorrow, Saturday. Expect gradual improvement through the day with decreasing rainfall and some brighter spells breaking through. However, and this is the twist, temperatures will actually drop slightly on Saturday as colder air pushes in from the north. So Saturday may be drier but chillier. The weekend overall will be a mix of scattered showers and sunny intervals, a transitional period before the next system arrives. And that is exactly what I will be covering in the next video. There is another weather system forming in the Atlantic right now, and early models suggest it could be more significant than what we are experiencing tonight. I will have the full breakdown city by city with exact timing in my next forecast. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it. One more time, comment below with your location. Tell me your city or town and I will make sure your area gets covered in detail. Share this with someone you know who is traveling tonight. The information in this forecast could genuinely help them stay safe. Stay warm, stay dry, and I will see you.